Hello, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about boundaries and explore it a little bit more, kind of see where it goes. But first, let's just all take a breath. I know sometimes I hold my breath. Let's get a little nice good breath in there. You ready? Feels good if you just marinate in the stillness for a few moments. Or maybe that's just me. But today I wanted to talk about boundaries because it's been on my heart. Been on my heart for a little while. Been wanting to start some of these videos and just share. Feels good. For me, I'm enjoying it. So hopefully it helps somebody out there. And also too, I do see it quite a bit when I do meet just people in daily life. You can hear a lot of just their boundaries that they weren't able to express or even be clear on what they even are. And also too, just they somewhat, there's a violation, you feel violated, but also too, there's a responsibility of, taking it upon yourself and becoming clear on what your boundaries are. In those moments, it can always change, of course, and be different from case to case, or just different from human to human, or even moment to moment. And most of the time, it's just boundaries. And when you set boundaries, you notice some things just don't really show up in your life anymore because you have a good boundary around it. And if it does, it's still okay. It's just some stuff we'll go into a little bit more on what I've learned over the years with some setting boundaries and other stuff. So first off, I did want to just say, before we begin, there's of course, it's okay to have boundaries. And I just want everybody to know that. Coming from my own experience, growing up, you're a young kid, your parents do their best to help take care of you. And, they have their own boundaries. Some maybe they know themselves, some maybe they don't really know, but they've set them. And we take those on as kids because we think, oh, that's how the world operates. And nobody ever gives you a permission slip, or nobody really ever says, hey, you're okay to have boundaries. Not only are you okay to have boundaries, but it's an amazing thing. Allows for a lot of enlightenment, a lot of freedom, and a lot more ease in your life when you're able to kind of, I will say, blueprint in a way really what you desire, and also to that connection that you do have with spirit and your life. And those boundaries are meant to be there, and they can evolve and they can always change. So I just wanted to be that person. Hopefully, it of course could be me or anybody else if, maybe if you are getting help from somebody or just chatting with friends. But if you are watching this video and you're curious about boundaries, I just want you to know you have the permission slip. It's okay. You can set boundaries all on your own. They don't have to be your parents' boundaries. They don't have to be your friends' boundaries. They don't have to be anybody that even you look up to boundaries. Of course, you can use them and see them and let it spark things in you, but ultimately you make the decision on your day-to-day basis and moment to moment and as things come up. And so a few examples that I did want to share. We have so many different areas in our life, from work to friends to intimate relationships, marriages, or even children, right? And you have this path or this journey that you came here for. And my belief is it's blueprinted out in your own way that you came here for this. And sure, details and things may change on how you get there, but those boundaries are meant to help not only allow you to connect better to God, to spirit, but also to help you rise up and to be able to feel the strength and the power that you can have and as the world will change around you in a lot of ways, as you're more clear on the boundaries that you want to set for your life, and also for your life, and then also too, it makes things a little more fun. And in some sense, you can think of it that way, and playing with it, a little bit of a game, because I know some things can hit hard in my life where something arises and you either want to avoid confrontation, or you're stuck in a corner and you have to actually say something. A lot of times you will feel it beforehand, and you're like, oh, I don't know if I really want to talk to this person. Or you could feel a boundary, oh, hey, it doesn't feel right. And already that's your awareness telling you, hey, pay attention, there's something here, right? And that's where you can change the perspective on it to actually be, oh, wow, my spirit's telling me something's not right here. And if I put my awareness on it, that's the first step, or second step after you're giving yourself permission to set these boundaries, but to explore it further and not be afraid of it within yourself first, because you can always take that moment. We get something that arises, and sometimes we have the reaction state, right, where you just want to react, the fight or flight, or say something or react. And of course, there's something to that, but also if you're wanting to, you're able to take a moment to yourself. If you're at home or you're in front of the person, then I know it's a little bit harder, but maybe afterwards it's okay if hey, they're asking me for something that's beyond what I can give or want to give, or even be for that person, because obviously there's a selfishness, right, from each person, and they're all wanting the world to feel better around them so that they feel better. And that can happen, of course, in relationships or work, or even for sure marriages or intimate relationships or spheres with that. So I wanted to say, taking that moment and being able to give yourself that window of opportunity, and being able to say, oh, you know what? I normally would react this way, but you have a whole, let's say, room of you can react however you choose. And taking all that power back and that responsibility back into your own, it allows you to really shine through what you really are and what you want to say, or how you want to portray, or how you want to set up a boundary. And even if it's 1 minute, 30 seconds, or even if it's 5 minutes, or you need a day or 2 or 3, taking that time to be able to say, you know what, let me get clear on this, and not being afraid of it within, and asking Spirit, okay, Spirit, what is this? Why? Asking those questions. Why do I not feel good about this? Is it draining me? Is it asking more than I can give? Is this part of my path? Is it part of my path to rise up and be able to say no? Or is it something fun and part of my path to say yes, that maybe I have anxiety around, but it's like, sounds fun, but you're not sure you want to do it because it's not something you've never done before, just to throw that in there, because of course that's where you want to have those moments, to be able to get clear. And so being able to set those boundaries, you could play with it in a sense, like, hey, I know a lot of times, I'll use an example. So in my life, in the past, I'm a little better at it now, but I'm not perfect. I still have to set boundaries with certain things. I'm a little more aware of it when it pops up, but in the past, something that came up and I wanted to react with maybe some anger or a little bit of discomfort, or even act with what's a better word for it? Like frustration or not knowing how to react. And so it comes out weird, right? Or it comes out where you're like, hey, whoa, I don't know if I want to do that or do this, or I don't know if this is something for me. And that's a good thing still, because you're getting it out and you're at least saying it. I know a lot of times, even before that, I would internalize it and I'd just be like, oh, well, it's what the person really wants, so I'm gonna go along with it. But then inside I would feel resentment, because I was like, oh, they made me do this and I didn't really want to. And I felt like I had to speak up, but I couldn't. And then later, I would have that resentment inside of me, and I'd be like, oh, and at first reaction, I would want to blame them. Oh, I just need to get them out of my life. Or, because I don't want to be around them because I'm afraid I might, not be able to say no, or not be able to do something I don't want to do. And those moments are really beautiful, because it allows you to tap in. It allows you, play with it a little bit, where you can really say, whoa, like, I'm aware, first of all, I don't feel right about something. Secondly, I'm taking the time to feel it out and not afraid of it, taking the courage to go, oh, okay, I'm not just gonna run from it and try to forget it and stuff it down, but I'm gonna try to sit with it. And I like to say, sit and have tea with it. I'll do another video on that. But really being able to sit at the table and see what your emotions really are, and getting underneath that first reaction to really decide, is this who I am? Is this what I want to do? And then how do I want to react? And when you're able to ask those questions and get clear on that, you might be able to find a lot of beautiful, golden, hidden things that you stuffed down before you started setting boundaries, or maybe even you were setting boundaries and you weren't fully aware of it, but you're just doing it for survival, or to get by, or move your life forward or something. But or at least that's what I did. And so when I was able to sit with myself and actually really go, okay, I don't want to do this, and I don't want to react in anger, because that's not really who I am. I'd rather be compassionate about it and respect that, hey, they were asking for what they need, for what they want, and respecting that they have boundaries no matter what they are, but I could still say no. And then, vice versa, I could still say yes on something and somebody else could still say no. And that's part of the learning and playing with it and the game of it a little bit. But when you treat it a little more with fun, you're able to actually, when I was able to see it that way, and I go, okay, well, I want to react in a nice way. I want to react with compassion, because I care about this person ultimately, or whoever it is, or a friend, or even a passing by or something, maybe that you meet, or at work. And so I would rather be that person and respectfully be able to let them know I have a boundary, and they may never have known. And in a way, they were helping you, because you might have had that energy to be like, hey, you can, like for me, the energy a lot was, I was gullible, or I believed a lot of what people just would say, or I would just allow people, I would put people in front of me, their emotions and what they wanted, because I was like, well, I want them to be happy. And so I would just allow things to happen with whatever other people decided. But it wasn't until I was actually like, well, hey, my path and my blueprint and the things that I came here for in this life are important. They're important to me, and nobody else is going to do it for me until I decide that it's important, and until I'm going to go do it, which is part of me making these videos. This is important to me. It's fun to me. I love coming to beautiful locations, and usually I'm just here, I don't know, meditating, enjoying the water, all by myself, or just chilling out, going for a walk, getting outside. I like to be down here on the water or up in the mountains. And these moments now I wanted to share along with my heart, because that's where it was closest with a lot of these things that I was thinking of sharing. I was like, hey, it'd be great to be able to share this. And so most of this stuff I was sharing with my son just out of bare love and necessity. And I even told him to empower him, hey, you have your own boundaries, you have your own connection to God, you have your own spirit of what you came here for. So even though I may think something's right in this world and this way and this path, I was like, your path may lead differently. Doesn't mean I don't love you, I still love you, but I respect that he came here for his own path and his own journey. And the same for you watching this. And as I say this, I can even feel myself talking to myself like when I was a kid. I wish I had somebody to be able to tell me this stuff when I was young. But going along with those boundaries and being able to have fun with it, I'll give you an example. I was speaking with a young kid who, full of liveliness, was talking about how his work that he signed up for, he thought it was only, this is a recent, I got other ones too, maybe I'll share, but this is a recent one. You know, he thought it was a certain expectation for time, and he would have free time to be able to enjoy life and keep it balanced, and that's what he wanted, but he didn't speak that, or he didn't say that. And then his boss or the other guy, I don't know exactly what his expectations were, but of course he had different expectations for this young, vibrant kid to be able to help him with his work and around the land and the farm and some other houses and stuff that he does work on. And I don't think there was communication there, which is okay. It's just part of how we learn, right? You get thrown into it and you're kind of like, yeah, this sounds good, I need the money, and you know, I want to do this, it does feel right, and it is right. And then later, those feelings come out where, oh wait, hey man, this guy's working me all the time, wants me to work on what I thought were days off, 5, 6, 7 days a week. And he kept saying yes because he was getting not only paid for it, but he was also getting it was a work live, so he was getting his little home that he had on the farm there. And I could see it in him that he was like, oh, I could see the boundaries immediately. Like, he's telling me he's unhappy and it might not work and he might need to move, which is an option, which you can definitely do. And by all means, I've done that in the past where just got out of there, and that was the easiest option at the time. But I just want to let you know, in that room of stillness, there's so many options that maybe you've never even thought about. And it's not till you take that stillness and you get into that room and you go, okay, this is where I normally take this option off the shelf and I choose that. Or sometimes if I'm a little more not angry, I'll choose this one, or I'll be a little nicer or say something, or I'll just leave. That's an option. But then if you look in that room, which is kind of like, it's the unknown, right? It's a little scary, but it's that stillness and it's where spirit is. There's millions of other options that you could choose from, and you never even thought about them. And that's the fun part, because you can apply this to every single moment in your life that comes up. And you could be like, oh, I normally act like this, but is this part of my path? Is this where I want to go? What about a completely different option? I could go put on a clown suit and, or whatever, I'm just joking around, but or I could, take a moment and go to the beach and not think about it. I could completely do a different option than I've ever done before, and it might be closer to who I am, who I want to be, who I am changing into who you already are, your deeper levels of your spirit and your path and your journey here. So that to me was one of the biggest epiphanies or turning points in my life, when I not only gave myself permission, but also was like, that's amazing. This is gold here. I can, no matter what comes up, I can see if this aligns with who I really want to be, who I am, and I could choose any option. And so in this example, this kid that I was talking with, I was telling him, hey, you can leave, sure, that sounds like a lot of work, or maybe it's easy, but also too, you have some other options. You know, if you do sit in it a little bit and then come out how you want to say it, for example, coming up and saying, hey, you know, I want to say boss, but I don't know if that's even, you know, they had a friendship too, but like, you know, I'll just use the name George. Hey, George, love working for you, and I love living here and enjoying all these things. I would like to have a little more balance in my life for my own well-being. I thought I was going to have a couple days off, like this day, and then also with the hours. Thought coming in we would do this. I know I didn't say this right off the bat, and we didn't really come up with any kind of contract or written agreement. We just jumped right in, and I appreciate you just taking me in. But can we have a few moments or time to be able to talk about, you know, what you are expecting of me and what I am going to be doing as far as work, and being able to have some time? Because if we can work this together that fits both of us and we're both okay with, then I would love to stay here, love to continue working for you. And I would, you know, something along those lines where you could still be nice about it. You don't have to leave right away. Of course, if he comes back with, oh, I thought you were going to work 67 hours a week, you still have the option to leave, and you'd have to get, you know, a new job. But I'm sure there's a bunch of other options in there too if we sat in there long enough. But my whole goal with him was just to let him know it's okay, even though he's an older guy, older gentleman. It doesn't mean that you have to do everything he says. No matter the age, you, even more so with young, you know, teenagers or even, you know, young adults, you have a lot of beautiful, intentional stuff that you already easily do. You know, when I was young, it was like I already knew what I loved. I wanted to do this and do that and do this. And it's okay to be able to tell your boss that, parents that, and do it in a nice manner, in a compassionate way, and still holding space or respect in a way for that person as a human, because they have their own boundaries. And, you know, they have their own different opinions, and that's okay. And maybe things can work well, or more so being able to communicate if the other person's wanting to communicate. If some kid came to tell me what I just shared there, and he was like, hey, I really want to, you know, have more time, and I thought I was be doing this, I'll be like, wow, thank you for telling me what you need. I just assumed, I thought you wanted more work, so I was going to pay you more. And, you know, or something along those lines. But it would allow me to be able to adjust and be like, oh, you know what? Yeah, I'm okay. Why don't you give you 3 days off, and maybe I'll look at hiring somebody else for those other 3 days, and then, you know, instead of paying you, we'll get somebody else, and not a problem, but you'll have more balance. And then, you know, somebody else will just be able to have part-time work, and that opens up a whole nother option for me to be able to help facilitate, because he's a good kid, so, and I would like to keep him around if he was working for me. So it gives that option to be able to, if somebody else wants to work with you. Obviously, if somebody says no, then, you know, maybe it is time to cut ties, get a new job, or, you know, or leave, and maybe that time is done with that person, and your path has been telling you it doesn't feel right because it wants you to get out of there, and there's something better that's way better, or you've grown and you have those boundaries starting to be set, and there's different people to interact with. And that's kind of the beautiful side of impermanence, because it never can be stagnant or it never can be zero entropy, right? It's always got to move forward, change. And as it does, that's the beautifulness of, we never are completely complacent, because there's always something that we can look to and be like, oh, hey, there's a little something extra here that I came for to improve or change. I guess it's a little different now too, because I've recently had this epiphany and was watching some stuff about how in a lot of ways, well, we already are there where we want to be on the other side when we transition in the spirit realm, heaven, if you want to call it that. I think we all go there, and that's where we're already there. Like, a lot of times here we're like, oh, I just want to get there, I just want to get there. I was listening to some stuff about how we're already there, and here is just the slowing down of it to where it's like how we get there. And it's, in the spirit realm, it's my belief, where we can just be able to snap our fingers or be like, oh, want to be here, want to be there, and we will, no matter what it is. But here it gives us this time and space to be able to look at deeper levels of ourselves and be able to see how we got there in a slower way, and it allows for a lot of richness and it allows for a lot of gold, because of course there's the hills and the valleys, but actually they're all amazingness and they're all beautifulness, and it's all love, and it's all showing our authenticity of wanting to come out of who we already are. And so that connection is really our guiding light with spirit when we feel something wrong or we feel something right. Because when it feels, you're just like, I'm in the right place at the right time. I don't know why I feel that or know that, I just do. And that's the connection. You're on your path, you're in your journey, it feels right. And it's okay, even if you here's another playing with it example is, even if you, let's say it's something small, right? You don't feel right about something, and you're like, hey, I want this to change, or I prefer different. But you can kind of keep doing it, and just in a playful way, and be like, oh, okay, I'm gonna do it again. Yeah, I don't feel right about it. It's okay to mess up, or it's okay to, you know what, I let them choose, what we both are doing today, or I let, my work choose how I'm going to respond in a certain way. Is that right? But it gives you that option to be like, okay, it still doesn't feel right. Oh, it still doesn't feel right. And you could do it 100 times until you're finally like, oh, this is so old. It's definitely not what I want. I'm going to choose different. And when you're able to make that shift within, it may not even come up anymore, or it might still come up just to really, really see if you are very serious or intentional on it. And I've noticed over the years I've done this, the more boundaries I've set and immediately just shared in a nice way with people. I've had people even super angry in some ways because of their expectations that they thought, and I could feel it, and I was like, oh, I feel like I need to, but then I was like, well, I don't have to. So I would respond with a more compassionate, like, wow, I really see you. You're really serious. That's what you want, but it may not be me. Looking for somebody else, or, you're on your own path and I'm not part of that path anymore. Still appreciate you as a human, as a being, and still love, care about you or whoever it is, or if it's that close, and then being able to see what other options, because then your energy is not going completely to all the stuff you don't prefer, right? Once you're able to really make that decision, or at least I did. I knew for sure, and I was like, oh yeah, that's definitely not what I want anymore. Validated, it's there, it's an option, it's part of the full spectrum here of choices and contrast, but being able to go, well, it's not what I prefer, so I'd rather have this, and we'll just go about looking for this to reveal itself in my life. And as you easily do that, things fall away, and the permanence over life, or the blessings of more life, and the blessings of you standing up, it gives you a real sense of freedom. Every time I still, even though I'll tell you, like, I still have even things with like roommates or people in the place that I live, you know, I'll have to ask for certain things, and I'll be like, oh, I don't really want to have to ask. Oh, and I feel that, oh, I don't really want to, but I'm like, I kind of have to. But then it's like me standing up and being like, hey, I really need this. Can I, you know, like from a landlord or something like that. And when you're able to at least ask for it, it gives them the option. And then also too, there's that freeing feeling of like, oh, that wasn't so bad. I can stand up and ask for what I need, what I want. And even if that's just a, you know, small thing, I still come across it. But a lot of the bigger things, definitely, they've faded away, but it never stops. So I'm 47 now, and you know, there's always little boundaries to be set. New people in your life, and it allows for other people to really see, and also gives them the option, or gives them the spark of like, oh hey, he shared what he really wants, or who he really is, or what he desires, or his boundaries. It gives them the option to be able to say the same, and then you being able to respect it. It's that, oh, nice, easy. In a way, it's like you don't have to compromise. It's just you actually being seen and being heard. And so that's what I wanted to share today. Hopefully that was able to help somebody out there. It's really helped me in my life. I've thoroughly enjoyed it, even though there's still weird feelings when you're like, oh, a little bit. I just want to make sure, you know, like it's not all roses, right, and daisies. Is that the saying? There's still a little bit of that, oh, but then you can rise up and be like, oh, you know what? You know, I want to share in this way, unconditional love this way, with no expectations or nothing. I don't need anything back. It's just I want to share because I want to, and the reward or the joy is in me sharing. I get to share like this. Feels good. I'm actually able to share the things that have been on my heart and places I usually am hanging out by myself. So I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoy your day. And I have a few other items that I'll be sharing on the Dad Life Advice channel. I don't know if there's a better name. I don't know. Just keep it general, straight to the point of what it is. So enjoy your day, and until the next video, be at a new location and a new topic. And right now I'm doing these about once a week. I'm gonna see if I could do 2 in a week, and we'll up it a little bit. I'm feeling that right now. So, all right, see ya.